facilities, improvements to existing parks, and to add parks in other underserved areas. And again, that measure passed, along with a measure to add a city clerk that the newspapers were against, but the voters approved anyway, and to add the clerk as a appointed position by the city commission instead of the city manager. Then in the year 2000, the voters, this is the one time something passed that I was against, and that was term limits. But the voters overwhelmingly approved term limits. So after this, I'm out of here. Three-year terms in the year 2000, and commissioners in the future will be limited to three-year terms on a commission seat, or three. So you could serve 3 years, 3 terms as a commissioner, and then 3 terms as mayor. Then you could go back to being a commissioner again if you wanted to, or whatever. I guess you could go back and forth and serve indefinitely, but no longer than 3 terms in any one office. And later we added another item on the ballot, and that was for an auditor for the city. And in 2005, we put on the ballot, again, we asked the voters for permission to raise their taxes, this time for fire stations. And that fire station construction program has been going on during the boom. The prices went through the roof for the new fire stations. And the men and women in the fire department, it used to be a firefighter would get paid to sleep and wait for a fire. Now the men and women in the fire department, they should call it the paramedic department, because they're giving advanced life support. The city commission heard a presentation at our last meeting about 2 different residents, one very small child that was saved from drowning, and another woman that was saved from choking on a steak. But the lives that are being saved by these men and women, the sophisticated equipment that we have, the challenges that the paramedics and firefighters have after 9/11, and the issues with possible terrorism and contamination, our facilities were just too small to handle all the challenges that they have. So I'm happy to report that the last 2 fire stations we put out for bids, both of them, the bids came in about $1 million under the estimate, and where we used to get maybe 3 or 4 companies bidding on a fire station, now we have 10 or 15, and the prices are coming down significantly. And I feel confident that we're going to be able to fulfill the needs of the fire department in the future with the money that we have. So those are some of the things that have happened during my term of office. We've had hurricanes like Andrew and Wilma. Hurricane Andrew, of course, devastated Miami, and Fort Lauderdale cleaned up pretty quick, and we had sent a lot of police officers and firefighters down there, and they learned a lot about how to protect you by participating with those storms. I know when our city manager, and this city manager is a very hard-working city manager. You know why? He loves his job, and he loves Fort Lauderdale. He just works around the clock. And when he first came here, we had some storms over on the West Coast. Hey, Jungle Queen! Hey, Jungle Queen! There it is. We had some storms over on the West Coast, and I mentioned to the city manager that he ought to go over there and learn about them, and he did. And wow, didn't the city do a great job recovering from Wilma? Men and women in the Fort Lauderdale services really did a great job from Wilma. All of that is because of training and preparation and helping out another city when something like that comes along. I think the darkest moments that I ever experienced as a city commissioner or mayor were the death of employees, and when we had the horrible, senseless murder of Bryant Penny, and then the beach crew incident. Those were some really challenging times for the city of Fort Lauderdale, but we got through it. Then there were a lot of fun things like the Whitbread Regatta that became the Volvo, the Air and Sea Show, which is coming back in 2010, and another organization that has contributed greatly to the city of Fort Lauderdale is the Sister City program. And I know some of the members of the Sister City program are here. We have 16 sister cities around the world, and they're out there promoting Fort Lauderdale around the world and beyond just our sister cities, and act as ambassadors when we have a delegation coming in, even if it's from a a place that we don't have a sister city. They're there to help the city out, making people feel welcome. Oh, I know how we're going to keep down the length of the speech. I'm going to run out of light, so I better hurry it up. So here we are in 2009, and in Fort Lauderdale today, our largest industry is the marine industry. It's bigger than tourism. It is responsible for around 130,000 jobs here in Broward County, with an impact of around $13 billion. Tourism is number 2. And when Bob Cox ended spring break, no, he says he didn't end spring break. when I was elected in 1985, we had 3 million visitors to our city, and around 400,000 of them were college students. And today, we have between 11 and 12 million visitors to our city. This year it's going to be down, but only 20 or 30,000 of them are college students. And we really did that. In 1988, we passed an open container ordinance that you couldn't walk down the sidewalk with an open container of beer or something like that, and the business completely went away. But the hoteliers on the beach went to work diversifying our tourist mix and getting business from as many markets as possible, and tourism remains a very strong industry at number 2. We have a 24/7 downtown. It was a dream of the city mothers and fathers to have a downtown where people would be living and be able to walk to work and shop and the like. Las Olas Boulevard is vibrant in spite of what you read about in the drive-by media. The Las Olas Boulevard, Las Olas Corporation, the major landowner on Las Olas, has 1 vacancy right now, and they have many applicants for that store that they're choosing from. And they recently demolished some of the buildings to have an expansion of the Riverside Hotel, and I think that's exciting. In this day, we're going to have construction along there and redevelopment along Las Olas, and it's going to be a wider sidewalk and a beautiful environment along there, and something that stays the same isn't going to be able to compete in the future. And congratulations to Las Olas on their efforts to expand in this difficult economy. They are going to do it in 2 phases. They're going to get the retail back on the street first, and then expand the hotel along the river later. Uptown and Executive Airport are very important parts of our city, and the businesses are booming up there. Our neighborhoods are doing well. We have a redevelopment plan for Sistrunk Boulevard through the CRA, and the 3-laning of Las Olas is well on its way. And we've added so many new parks in the city, not only through the bond issue in 1995, but also through the county bond issue, where through the efforts of several commissioners, I know Cindy Hutchinson and Tim Smith before you worked hard to identify parcels in the city of Fort Lauderdale that could be purchased with our county tax dollars to expand parks. So I don't think there's ever been a period of time in Fort Lauderdale that we've grown so much, at least in recent history. You would have to go back to the booms of the 1950s after the war, or the pre-hurricane 1920s to see the kind of growth that we've had in the city of Fort Lauderdale. Which brings us to today. And we have elections going on right now. There's an election next Tuesday, and I hope everyone votes. This is a unique occurrence in the city of Fort Lauderdale. I went back in the history books, and I have not been able to find an election cycle where we had more than two new city commissioners. I had to go all the way back to 1948, where we had 4 new commissioners take office in that year. And it must have had something to do, though I've never really confirmed this, it must have had something to do with what occurred in 1947. 3 hurricanes that weren't that large, but they were very wet. The entire downtown was flooded on the on the north side of the river. And maybe it was discontent about the flooding that took place that caused such a change of 4 new commissioners. Every time an election rolls around, I really worry that there's going to be a hurricane or something like that. But I've been able to skate by, and thanks, City Manager, for getting all the city crews out there to clean up after Hurricane Wilma, because we did have an election after that, so it was very important. But it's going to be a challenging time, and I'm sure that the new City Commission is going to do a great job in the future. They're going to have a lot of challenges. And one of the challenges, and the reason that we're out here today, is to maintain